The morning after the storm was silent. For the first time in years, Duskmoor saw sunlight, pale, hesitant, pushing through the ash like it was afraid to touch the earth. Dorian stood at the edge of the ruins, the wind tugging at his cloak. The mark on his chest still glowed faint gold beneath the torn fabric, its pulse slow and steady. He hadn't slept. He couldn't. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her, Kiera, burning in light, her hand slipping away. Ashbourne approached from behind, leaning on his staff. "The sky's different," he said softly. "Feels clean." Dorian nodded. "It won't last." The professor studied him for a long moment. "You can feel it, can't you? The hollow's gone, but something's still inside you." Dorian's hand trembled slightly. "It's her light. And something else. They're fused. I can't tell where one ends and the other begins." Ashbourne frowned. "If the hollow left a seed inside you, the world's balance isn't restored, it's just waiting." He turned toward the horizon. "Then you'll keep it contained. You can't fight forever." "I don't need forever," Dorian said quietly. "Just long enough to finish what she started." By nightfall, the first storm returned, black rain hissing against the earth, leaving glowing embers wherever it fell. Dorian walked through it without flinching. The drops burned his skin but healed just as fast, the mark on his chest pulsing brighter with each step. Voices whispered through the wind, faint, familiar. "You can't save what's already become you." He stopped, scanning the darkness. "Show yourself." A figure stepped from the fog, cloaked, its face hidden. Its voice was smooth, cold, ageless. "You carry her crown now, Dorian. Do you even know what that means?" He drew his sword. "I didn't ask for it." The figure laughed softly. "No one does. But every throne demands someone to burn for it." Dorian's grip tightened. "Who are you?" "In what's left of the Hollow's will, the echo she couldn't kill." "I killed it once," he said. "I can do it again." "Can you kill yourself?" The figure's hood fell back, revealing a face identical to his own, eyes black as night, veins glowing faint red beneath the skin. Dorian froze. "No." The echo smiled. "Yes. You're not her savior. You're her replacement." He swung his blade, but the shadow caught it midair. Sparks exploded where light met dark. The force threw him backward into the dirt. "Soon," the echo whispered, fading into the storm, "they'll all bow, not to her, but to the king of Cinders." Dorian pushed himself to his feet, chest burning. Rain sizzled against his skin. In the distance, thunder rolled, but this time, it whispered his name. He looked up at the gray horizon, jaw clenched. "If that's who I'm becoming," he said, "then he'll decide what kind of king he'll be." The light in his chest flared once, bright enough to cut through the storm. And somewhere deep below Duskmoor, something answered back. The days that followed were not peaceful. The sunlight lingered, but it never warmed. The air shimmered faint gold, and the rain burned everything it touched. Dorian walked through the remains of Duskmoor, his cloak trailing ash. The mark on his chest glowed beneath his shirt, brighter with every heartbeat. The townspeople had started to gather again, drawn by the light. They watched him from their doorways, some in awe, some in fear. "Is it true?" a woman whispered as he passed. "He carries the Queen's fire." Dorian kept his head down. "No one carries her fire," he muttered. "Not anymore." Still, they followed him. By evening, a dozen stood behind him in the square, whispering prayers that weren't his. Ashbourne found him there, sitting on the broken fountain. "You're becoming what they need," the professor said softly. Dorian stared at his reflection in the cracked stone. What they need isn't me. Maybe not. But you're all they have. He didn't answer. The reflection rippled. For a split second, his eyes flashed black. He stood abruptly. The hollow still speaking. Ashbourne frowned. How often? Every time they call me a savior. That night, he dreamed again. He stood inside the same glass void, surrounded by fire that didn't burn. In front of him was Kiera, only dimly visible, her outline flickering. You shouldn't be here, she said softly. You said that before, he replied. She smiled faintly. And you never listened. He reached for her hand. The hollow's echo, he looks like me. I know, she said. He's what's left of what I couldn't destroy. He's drawn to the part of me that still lives inside you. Then take it back. Her eyes dimmed. I can't. You are the light now. He stepped closer. Then help me control it before it controls me. Her voice broke. You think I haven't tried? She placed a hand against his chest. Every time I speak to you, the hollow hears me. It's learning through you. His breath caught. So if I stop listening, you lose me, she whispered. The void around them trembled. Her light flickered. Dorian. It's growing stronger. It's trying to wear your face. Then I'll stop it. She shook her head. You can't kill it. You can only become what it fears. What's that? Her faint smile returned. A man who chooses mercy over power. The void cracked, light bleeding through. Kiera. She reached out as she faded. Don't forget who you are, my king. Dorian awoke with a gasp. The room glowed faintly gold. His reflection in the window wasn't his anymore, it smiled before he did. Outside, thunder rolled, though the sky was clear. Ashbourne burst in, breathless. Dorian. Come see. He followed him outside. The people of Duskmoor knelt in the streets, hundreds of them, chanting his name. Your light healed the sick, Ashbourne whispered. They think you're blessed. Dorian stared at his hands, the gold light pulsing stronger than ever. No. I'm not blessed. He looked toward the horizon, voice low and cold. I'm becoming exactly what she warned me about. Sleep came differently now. When Dorian closed his eyes, the world didn't fade, it shifted. The air hummed, the walls breathed, and shadows whispered his name. Head waked to things he couldn't explain, footprints in ash that weren't his, marks on his hands that burned with black fire. Ashbourne noticed first. You're losing hours, the professor said one morning. You vanish for half the night. Where do you go? I don't know, Dorian replied. But when I wake, people have been healed. Ashbourne's brow furrowed. Healed. They say my touch burns and cleanses. They say their pain disappears. He looked down at his glowing palms. But so does their will. The professor took a step back. You're feeding the hollow. No, Dorian said. I'm feeding them. Ashbourne slammed a book shut. That's what she said before the world burned. By nightfall, Dorian's light had changed. It no longer glowed gold, it flickered red at the edges, pulsing like fire through glass. He walked the streets in silence, the townsfolk kneeling as he passed. Their eyes glowed faintly, reflecting his light. A child whispered, "The king watches over us." He paused. "Don't call me that." "But you save us," the boy said. "The queen's gone. You keep the fire burning." Dorian turned away. "That's not saving." But they kept chanting. "Long live the king of Cinders." Later, He stood before the mirror in the old chapel. His reflection didn't move. It just watched. "Go ahead," it said finally. "Pretend you still believe in mercy." He froze. "You're not real." The reflection smiled. "Real enough to wear your face when you sleep." "What do you want?" "I want what you've already taken, the crown." "You're not getting it." "Too late," the reflection said. "They already follow me." It raised its hand, and flame bled through the glass, burning the walls behind him. Dorian grabbed his sword, shattering the mirror. The reflection's voice echoed from the shards. "You can't destroy what lives inside you." He fell to his knees, clutching his head as visions flooded his mind, Duskmoor burning, the people kneeling in ash, his own voice commanding them to rise. Then Kiera's whisper broke through the noise. "Dorian. Stop listening to him." He gasped. "Kiera. He's not just you," she said. "He's everything you refuse to be. Every dark thought, every rage you buried." Her voice wavered. "He's using the light to build himself. Then it'll end him." "You can't kill him," she whispered. "You'll have to outshine him." The vision snapped. When he opened his eyes, the mirror was gone, only ash and glass remained. Outside, the church bells tolled on their own. Ashbourne ran in, panting. "Dorian, look." Through the window, the town glowed red. At the square center, a man stood on the fountain, the same face, the same eyes. But his smile was wrong. "The King of Cinders," Ashbourne breathed. Dorian stared at his double. The mark on both their chests burned with the same fire. He whispered, "Then the war's already begun." The air in Duskmoor burned. Ash fell in sheets of red light, glowing like embers. The town square was full, hundreds of people kneeling between two men who shared the same face. Dorian stood at one end, sword drawn, his mark pulsing gold-white. At the other stood his shadow, the Hollow Reborn, smiling, his eyes burning black and crimson. "Tell them," the echo said. "Tell them which of us is their king." "You're not real," Dorian said through gritted teeth. "I'm more real than the lie you've been feeding them," the shadow answered. "You healed their wounds, but you took their souls in return." Dorian shook his head. "I gave them hope." "You gave them chains," the echo hissed. "And now they'll kneel to whoever burns brightest." He raised his hand, and the crowd shuddered. Flames rose from their eyes, their bodies trembling in worship. "Stop it!" Dorian shouted. "They want this," the echo said. "They've seen your mercy. Now they crave my power." He stepped closer, and the air between them crackled. "You can't kill me, Dorian. You need me. You were born from everything she left behind." Dorian's grip tightened around his sword. "You're wrong. I was born from what she saved." The echo laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Then prove it." He vanished, reappearing behind Dorian, striking fast. Their blades clashed, sparks flying into the night. Each hit sent ripples of light through the square, shattering stone and glass. The crowd watched in silence, faces lit by the storm. "You fight like her," the echo sneered. "But you'll end like her too." Dorian slashed upward, cutting through the illusion, but the shadow reformed instantly, laughing. "You can't fight light with light." He lunged again, blade burning red. Dorian caught the strike with his own, gold fire bursting between them. For a heartbeat, both were locked in place, two halves of one being, both refusing to yield. Then the echo leaned close, whispering, "You feel it, don't you? Her power slipping from your veins." Dorian's chest ached. The glow beneath his skin dimmed. "She's fading," the echo said. "And when her light dies, all that's left is me. Dorian dropped to one knee, gasping. The crowd began to chant, voices blending into one. King of Cinders. King of Cinders. The echo smiled, spreading his arms. They've chosen. Dorian looked up, blood mixing with light on his face. No. He pressed his sword into the ground. Gold light surged upward, cutting through the red glow. The chanting stopped. The echo staggered back, eyes wide. What are you? Dorian's voice was low, steady. You forgot one thing. She didn't choose me for power. She chose me for restraint. The ground erupted in light. The shadow screamed, his form breaking apart in a burst of gold and flame. For a second, Dorian thought had done it, until the echo's voice whispered through the smoke. Every flame leaves a spark. The fire collapsed inward, forming a single burning mark on the ground, the same crown-shaped scar Kiera once bore. Ashbourne ran forward, coughing. Did you destroy it? Dorian stared at the mark, his eyes hollow. No. I branded it. He sheathed his sword. And now it's mine. Far above, lightning split the sky. For an instant, it formed the outline of Kiera's face, smiling, sorrowful, proud. Then it vanished. And the King of Cinders walked into the storm. The mark burned day and night. It pulsed beneath Dorian's skin like a second heartbeat, whispering to him in Kiera's voice, soft, tempting, wrong. He didn't sleep anymore. When he closed his eyes, he saw the crown of flame glowing at his feet. When he dreamed, he saw Duskmoor on fire, and himself standing at its center, smiling. Ashbourne watched from a distance, writing by candlelight, his trembling hands barely able to hold the pen. You're changing, he said quietly. I'm adapting, Dorian replied. You're burning. He turned toward the window, the faint gold light in his veins flickering red at the edges. Maybe that's the price. For what? For control. That night, the sky split open again. Red lightning danced across the clouds, and every candle in the chapel went out. Dorian walked into the storm, the rain hissing against his skin. The air shimmered with power, his power. He could feel the hollow breathing beneath his feet, alive again, feeding on the energy pulsing through him. You can't have me, he whispered. The ground trembled in reply. You already belong to me. He drew his sword, pressing the tip into the soil. The blade ignited with golden light. Then let's see how you like being caged. He slammed the blade down. Light burst outward in every direction, forming a circle of gold fire that spread through the ruins. The hollow screamed, a sound that split the clouds. Ashbourne ran outside, shouting over the thunder. Dorian! You're killing yourself. Dorian's body shook, veins glowing white-hot. If I stop, it wins. You'll burn the town. Then let it burn. The light exploded, tearing through the air like a sunrise. The clouds above turned gold for a moment, beautiful, endless, and then collapsed into black smoke. When the light faded, Dorian fell to his knees, smoke rising from his hands. His sword had melted into ash. Ashbourne knelt beside him, eyes wide with horror. What did you do? I sealed it. For now. The professor shook his head. You didn't seal it. You fed it. You used its power to fight it. Dorian looked down at his chest, the mark now burned brighter than ever, pulsing red and gold together. Then it'll burn brighter. Ashbourne whispered, You're not her. I never said I was. He rose, unsteady but alive. The world around him had gone silent again, no wind, no rain, just the soft hum of the mark's power in his chest. Then he heard it. Faint. Familiar. Kiera. Her voice was barely a breath. You're burning too fast. He closed his eyes. I can't stop it. Then it will consume you. Then let it. There was a pause, soft and broken. That's not what I taught you. He opened his eyes, and for a moment, saw her standing before him. Not light this time, not memory, real. Her hair white as ash, her eyes glowing faint gold. She touched his chest. The fire dimmed slightly. If you burn everything, Dorian, there's nothing left for me to return to. He reached for her hand, but she stepped back, fading with the wind. I'm not gone yet, she whispered. But you're losing me. Then she was gone. Dorian sank to the ground, trembling, staring at the dimming glow. If I'm the king of Cinders, he whispered, then I'll rule the ashes she left behind. Far away, deep beneath Duskmoor, something stirred, ancient, awake, and waiting. And this time, it whispered not Kiera's name, but his. The fire no longer frightened them. It danced in the streets, burning cold and bright, and the people gathered beneath it like moths. They built shrines out of melted glass and broken stone, lighting them with cinders taken from Dorian's trail. Children carried the ash in bowls, whispering his name like prayer. Ashbourne watched from the edge of the square, his face pale in the glow. They've started worshipping you, he said. Dorian stood beside him, his cloak trailing sparks. They're afraid. Afraid of what? He looked toward the horizon where the sky burned faint red. Of being forgotten. Ashbourne's eyes hardened. And you're letting them believe you're their god. Dorian's jaw clenched. If they need something to believe in, let it be me. At least I'm real. Are you? The professor asked quietly. Dorian didn't answer. That night, the bells rang again. The town glowed gold beneath a sky of smoke. Dorian walked alone through the streets, his shadow flickering behind him like a living thing. He passed murals painted on the walls, his face, wreathed in flame, crowned in light. Beneath each image, the same phrase was carved, the queen burned for mercy. The king burns for strength. He stopped, tracing the words with his hand. This isn't what she wanted. A voice echoed from the dark. But it's what she made. He turned. The reflection stood there again, his double, smiling faintly. Still haunting me? Dorian asked. Still becoming me, the shadow replied. You think the people kneel because they love you. They kneel because they feel your fire. Because deep down, they know what it means. And what's that? The reflection stepped closer. The world doesn't want light, Dorian. It wants power. You were her balance, but balance always breaks. Dorian's grip tightened on his sword. You're wrong. The reflection tilted its head. Then prove it. Put out the fire. Save them. Dorian hesitated, his hand trembling. The mark on his chest burned brighter. If I put it out, they'll die. They'll die anyway, the reflection said. But if you burn for them, they'll remember you forever. Isn't that what she wanted, for someone to be remembered? He slashed at the air, but the reflection vanished, its voice echoing in the flames. You can't destroy devotion. It destroys you first. Ashbourne found him at dawn, standing in the ashes of the square. The shrines were gone, melted into puddles of glass. The people knelt around him, eyes glowing faint gold. Dorian, the professor whispered, horrified. What have you done? I freed them, Dorian said softly. By burning them alive. They wanted to see the light, he whispered. Now they are the light. Ashbourne backed away, trembling. You're becoming him. Dorian turned, his eyes flickering gold and red. I'm becoming both. That night, Duskmoor was silent again. The air glowed faintly from embers that never cooled. Dorian stood atop the chapel's ruins, staring at the sky. Kiera, he murmured, if you can still hear me. Tell me this isn't what you saw coming. The wind answered with her voice, faint, aching. You've gone too far to ask for mercy. He closed his eyes. Then I'll make my own. Her whisper trembled through the air. And when it burns you, who will save what's left? Dorian looked down at the burning city, his reflection staring back in the glassy ground, smiling. Maybe no one should, he whispered. The storm came without warning. No clouds, no thunder, just light. Blinding, endless, gold and red at once. It poured down over Duskmoor like judgment. Dorian stood at the heart of it, the mark on his chest burning through his clothes. The fire around him didn't spread, it breathed, pulsing in time with his heart. Ashbourne screamed from behind him, you have to stop. You'll destroy everything that's left. Dorian's eyes glowed faint gold. There's nothing left to destroy. The wind carried whispers, Kiera's voice and his reflections, twisted together. One burns for mercy. The other for power. Only one can live. He fell to his knees, clutching his chest. Get out of my head. You invited us in. The sky split. A beam of red light shot down, striking the ground before him. From it rose his double, the hollow given form, no longer reflection but flesh. It wore his face but none of his soul. You've ruled long enough, King of Ash, it said. Now kneel. Dorian rose, sword of light forming in his hand. I already did once. Never again. The hollow smiled. Then burn for it. They collided like gods at war. Light and flame tore through the streets, shattering stone, igniting the air. Every strike sent shockwaves across the world. The people who remained fell to their knees, praying to whichever version would win. Some cried her name. Others cried his. You can't kill me. The hollow roared. Am every sin you've forgiven. Then I'll stop forgiving. Dorian drove his blade through the hollow's chest. The impact exploded outward, turning the sky white. For a moment, silence. Then laughter, his own, echoing from the creature impaled on his sword. Fool, it hissed. Did you think I lived outside you? Its body shattered into dust, but the fire didn't fade, it rushed into Dorian's veins, searing him from within. He screamed, the ground cracking beneath him, gold light bleeding through every fissure. Ashbourne staggered forward. Dorian. Dorian looked up, eyes no longer gold or red, both. It's inside me now, he whispered. All of it. Then let it go. I can't. If I do, it spreads again. The professor's voice broke. Then what will you do? Dorian looked toward the horizon, where the world glowed like molten glass. What she did. He raised his hand. The sky obeyed. Columns of fire rose from the earth, forming a circle of flame around Duskmoor. Ashbourne shielded his eyes. Dorian, no. Tell them she didn't die for nothing, Dorian said softly. Tell them the fire remembered her name. The ground erupted. Light poured from his body, consuming everything. The people screamed, but their cries turned into song, voices echoing across the storm, worshipping the last light of their world. Through the roar, Kiera's voice whispered one final time. I'm here, Dorian. I never left. He smiled through the pain. Then burn with me. The fire swallowed them both. When the storm ended, Duskmoor was gone. Only glass and silence remained. Ashbourne crawled from the ruins, coughing blood. He looked across the wasteland, trembling. Dorian. At the center of the crater, a single ember glowed, small, steady, alive. The professor reached for it, voice breaking. What have you become? The amber pulsed once. Then it spoke, faint and calm. The king is dead. Long live the fire.